You want to meet the Vice President of University Relations at Coastal Carolina University? Stay tuned. He's coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at the Myrtle Beach Herald, Myrtle Beach's oldest locally owned newspaper, at its offices at Myrtle Square Mall next door to Belk. And we're visiting with Eddie Dyer, the Vice President for University Relations at Coastal Carolina University and a professor of politics since 1976. Good morning, Eddie.
Good morning.
Thanks so much for getting in this morning. How exciting.
Yeah.
To kick off the first week of December, the first day of December. I think so many things going on.
Good month coming up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It'll be a big Christmas. Of course, we're coming on, I hate to say it, almost 3 decades of your tenure at Coastal Carolina.
I hate to say it, too. Of course, it beats the option. I came to Coastal in 1976, so I'm in my 28th year.
That is amazing.
It's gone by rather quickly, too.
Yeah, Eddie, what's that like being on the same campus for 28 years?
Well, to be on Coastal's campus 28 years has been wonderful. I say jokingly to people that I've seldom given a lecture out there in 28 years that I wasn't competing with a pile driver. When I came to Coastal in 76, we had about 1,700 students and 5 buildings.
Is that right?
Today, I think we have over 30 buildings and about 6,600 students. Wow. So to be in a place where it's growing, dynamic, all the things that have been going on at Coastal Carolina University and in Horry County for these past 28 years, it's just been great. It was a great place for me to grow up.
Yes, absolutely, and for your family to grow up, and I mean,
right.
Just the excitement of being there in Conway.
Right. Yep.
What a treat. What about yourself, Eddie? Did you grow up in the PD area?
I grew up in High Point, North Carolina, which is part of the Piedmont Triad. Greensboro, High Point, Winston-Salem. I was born in 47. Through the 50s, grew up there, and it was a great time. Piedmont, North Carolina is very sports-oriented, so I played virtually every sport. And on into the 60s. Graduated High Point Central High School in 1965 and went to Guilford College, about 15 miles away in Greensboro, and graduated Guilford and then came to South Carolina. So, I spent those red clay hills and hardwood trees up in Piedmont. I go back every so often just to soak all that up. So that's home for me.
How exciting. Yeah, I'm sure you do. And of course, you talk about the Triad being a sports community. I think about the Triangle, where I grew up, of Duke, Chapel Hill, and NC State,
right.
and the Magnificent. Of course, there's some incredible schools in the Triad as well. Wake Forest, Guilford, UNC right. Greensboro, just some amazing institutions. When you think about the sports aspect, the high schools are superstar in the Triad.
They really are, and high school basketball and football in North Carolina are really competitive. Even when I was growing up, this name won't mean much to a lot of your viewers, but Pete Maravich was a contemporary of mine, and he was at Raleigh Broughton High School when I was at High Point Central. Mm-hmm. Played against him 2 or 3 times, played against him in the East-West All-Star game in '65 in the Greensboro Coliseum there. And, in fact, I set a record on him that still stands.
Oh, really? What was that?
Most points allowed. I held him to 42 points. I thought that was pretty good. So, but he was quite an athlete and just a nice fella too. A nice guy. As you know, he died about 15 years ago. But just a great guy and one of the best basketball players I've ever seen anywhere.
Huh. You must have a great appreciation for that. Let's talk about growing up in the Triad. I know that doesn't totally focus on my viewers in the PD, but a quarter of my viewers are in Robinson and Scotland County in North Carolina.
Right.
And obviously when they hear Carolina, they think of Chapel Hill as opposed to Columbia. When they hear Carolina, they think of the Tar Heel State instead of the Palmetto State. What was it like growing up in the Triad in the 50s and 60s?
Well, there was a national championship team in '57. Frank McGuire, University of North Carolina, won the national basketball championship, NCAA championship. and I used to go to Kenan Stadium with my dad on Saturdays to watch the Tar Heels play. In those days, you could decide at 10 o'clock in the morning if you wanted to go to a football game, go to Kenan Stadium and get a pretty good seat. Unfortunately, a couple of years recently, they've been that way as well. But in those days, Wake Forest was right nearby, and Bones McKinney. In fact, the guy I played basketball for in college at Guilford College played for Bones McKinney at Wake Forest, Jerry Steele, who recently retired at High Point University. But Wake Forest was the school I was closest to in those days, and always pulled for them in the ACC. But it was a great sports community, good schools there. The Piedmont of North Carolina has very good, if you look at the numbers just of the Piedmont, the numbers in the Piedmont for education, public education, would compare favorably anywhere in the country. So I feel like I got a very good education there, had a good, well-rounded education, and got to play a lot of sports. It was a great place to grow up.
And Eddie, what about Guilford? What's a school that's similar to Guilford? Is Wofford, for instance, or Davidson? What are some other schools? Any schools in South Carolina?
Wofford would be Erskine, Presbyterian, Newberry, those small private schools that are church affiliated. Some aspects of Guilford don't compare favorably anywhere, since it's a Quaker school, especially in the southeast. But Guilford is a very fine academic institution. I'm very satisfied with the education I got there, and met a lot of really good people. Played on a basketball team there. We almost won the national championship, and then Guilford did win it a couple years later, but I played with some very good players. M.L. Carr, who went on to play for the Boston Celtics and coached the Boston Celtics, was a teammate of mine there. And Lloyd Free was the guy they recruited to take my place when I left. He became World B. Free, and that's when they won the national championship. But a lot of good players came through Guilford at that time. Guilford has sort of de-emphasized sports since those days, but it was going to Guilford, this beautiful little campus, just like Wake Forest and Davidson and other small private schools. Just a nice place.
And there's the thing, it's small public schools as well. I guess Coastal Carolina University now is it considered a small public school or no?
We're medium-sized, sort of like also in your viewer area you have UNC Pembroke, which is the fastest growing institution in the UNC system now.
3 years in a row.
Right. You see, UNC Pembroke is going great guns as well. We used to play Pembroke when I was at Guilford, and so I'm familiar with that campus and that community. So that's a good sign too for Pembroke. But Coastal Carolina is a medium-sized school, about 6,600 students now, and we're growing. We could be a lot bigger if we wanted to be a little less selective on our admissions, and if we had room to put people. We're busting at the seams for our campus now. We're just busting out of our campus. So.
And I'm glad you said that, Eddie. That gives an opportunity for viewers who've never visited Coastal Carolina University. It's essentially between 544 and 501. Most of the campus is there, and of course you've got satellite areas all over. But give the viewers a sense, if you can get, whether it's a virtual tour of 2003 or a virtual tour of 76. I know you talked about the amazing growth over your 28-year tenure here. But talk about what's behind those trees on 501 as viewers cruise by, and why they should stop by and visit.
Please do come by and visit. We're very proud of our campus. Georgian architecture, which makes a very pretty campus. And Guilford and Wake Forest and private schools use Georgian architecture. It's very, very pretty campus, laid out well. Turning off 501, come down and take a right. First right you can take, and that'll put you on Chanticleer Drive, which makes a large loop. It's a large horseshoe, goes all the way back into campus and comes back out on University Boulevard. First, you'll see a rotunda behind University Hall there. That's where you stop if you want a tour of campus. They'll take you on a tour. If it's inclement weather or you don't want to walk, they'll do it in a golf cart for you. You'll pass by our dormitories. Our student center on the left will be Wheelwright Auditorium. Seats about 850 people. We have our productions in there. We have dorms. We have about 1,700 students on or beside campus now. And next year we'll have about over 2,000. So we're building some more dorms. The Wall School of Business, a lot of your viewers will be familiar with because a lot of productions go on there in Wall Auditorium, a lot of the business-related productions, and one Saturday night a month there's bluegrass in there from the Waccamaw Bluegrass Society, or Rivertown, I think, Rivertown Bluegrass Society. Mm-hmm. So a lot of productions in Wall Auditorium. Moving on around, you'll see a state-of-the-art track facility, very well done. DDC engineers planned it for us years back and did a wonderful job of that. Then you'll pass by our athletic administration building, our baseball field, which is an excellent place to play and being improved on an annual basis. We're making improvements to that. Our football stadium is back there. Come in on the older part of campus and you'll see the Singleton Administration Building and Kearns Hall and the Athenaeum Building and our gymnasium. Those were the buildings that were there when I came. And our library. So we have plans to quadruple the size of our science building as soon as the state gives us the bonding for that. We have plans to expand our student center. We have many needs with the growth that we have. It's a blessing. Growth is a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think I heard Ron Engel, and I may have been catching it, whether it's Coastal today or something. He was talking about in his state of the college, state of the campus address, about his perception of a very poor level of education, secondary education in South Carolina leading into college, and the dropout rate is just astronomical. And that aspect of really focusing on earlier levels at the same time as those serious needs within the USC school system, and Coastal Carolina is surely an important factor. You all have broken off.
We're independent, an independent state university now, and Dr. Engel's right. We have to start thinking in terms of K through 16 instead of K through 12, and higher education needs to do its part in helping lift up K through 12 so that the students are coming to us a little better prepared. Mm-hmm. I was pleased to note, by the way, that Horry County received a grade of excellent from the state, so our Jarita Postlethwaite and Will Garland and that crowd for the local school board is doing a great job of improving the schools here in Horry County. So I was enthused by that. But we can do more and we can improve, and Coastal Carolina is committed to doing its part.
Eddie, you said you finished school at Guilford in 70. You said you arrived at Coastal in 76. So 6 years are missing. What'd you do in the interim?
First job I took out of undergraduate school I was just interested for some reason in urban planning. Took a job in Florence, South Carolina as assistant city planner. Stayed there a year and decided that I wanted to then be a city manager. So I went to graduate school and got an MPA degree, which is your union card to be a city manager. Decided during that period of time, and I was also working in the office of the governor at that time while I was going to graduate school, decided during that period of time that I really wanted to study law. Didn't necessarily want it to be a hang out a shingle lawyer, but I did want to study law, and in the course of law school thought very strongly about being a city attorney. Mm-hmm. And was going back to North Carolina, actually, Charlotte, to be an assistant city attorney up there when Coastal Carolina called, and they were part of the USC system at the time. I was at USC, and they asked if anybody could teach public administration and constitutional law. So,
oh, wow.
So it just sort of dovetailed with what I was studying, so I said, okay, I'll come for a year. But then I'm going to go do this other thing that I've educated myself to do. It was a challenge for me. The only reason I've been there 28 years is because of the people I work around and the challenge and the love. I grew to love it. It challenged me. I walked in the classroom the first day, told them everything I knew about that subject. It was an introductory course in government. Everything I knew about that subject, everything I knew about government, everything I knew about politics, everything I knew about life, everything I knew about everything, and had used about 15 minutes.
Oh, no.
So I had 35 minutes left in that class and 41 more classes left in the semester, so I had to get busy and actually learn what I was talking about. So it was a challenge to not only learn the material from that side of the podium so that you could deliver it, but to keep people's attention for 50 minutes is quite a challenge as well. And an hour and 15 minutes for our Tuesday, Thursday classes.
Right.
So that challenged me, and I decided I could do it better, and they asked me to stay, so I stayed another year, and another year turned into another one, and all of a sudden it's 28 years. And
oh, yeah.
It's been quite a challenge, but I still enjoy it. I just came from a class 11:30 till 12:20 on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, and today is Monday. A class that in constitutional law, and very much enjoyed that. So.
Oh yeah, it is so exciting teaching and learning and forcing yourself. You know, I've seen my father, who's been a professor more than 5 decades now, who constantly goes back, and I think of some of my own law school professors and the things where, you know, we would hear as students, first-year students, that you can pick up what this guy or gal is teaching because they've taught the exact same thing every year for the last 7 or 8 years, depending on some caseload changes. But I see my father every night before class, or used to see it growing up, preparing for the next day, rereading those cases. Of course, oftentimes he dozes off reading them because many of them he's read before, and it can become difficult. But that forcing yourself to really learn the law and to learn the material better must mean a lot.
It is, and it's, as I say, it's a challenge. That's why I stayed. I really liked what I got a good feeling at Coastal of the people there, and it liked the county, and got a feeling that this was a dynamic place. Enjoyed what I was doing. It challenged me on a daily basis. So I've been really blessed. I mean, I could not have come to a better place to, as I mentioned earlier, to grow up,
right,
and to raise kids, and to have a challenging career. It was a blessing for me to come here.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, raising kids here, but I wanted, and that aspect of going to law school for the sake of going to law school, and I remember hearing somebody who had practiced law for more than 7 decades in North Carolina talk about, it was a woman, talked about the practice of law and getting that law license more of a gentleman's education. It was like studying Latin. It's just such an important thing to really help set the stage for many other things, and obviously you've done just that, Eddie. But what's it been like for yourself, you and your wife, raising children?
It's raising kids is just a great adventure. Every day is different for them, so every day is different for you. But I have a son who's a senior at Coastal. He's 21. My daughter is a senior at Carolina Forest High School. She's 17. It has been just a daily challenge as well, and an adventure. My life would have been incomplete had I not coached Little League baseball and midget basketball, and gone to ballet recitals and piano recitals, and done my turn in the carpool, driving all of them to gymnastics lessons, and picking up my Little League baseball team, and taking them to practice and all. All of that has been just fulfilling. It's been a great experience just to raise kids. And Horry County, like anywhere else, has its share of distractions out there for kids, and you sort of have to steer them by those. Horry County is no different from anywhere else, but that's a challenge as well. But this is a great place to raise kids. Most of the kids in Horry County really don't want to leave here. You know, they have everything they want right here, and so my son is the same way. My son's happy right here, and my daughter, my son went to Coastal and is graduating there. My daughter wants to go to the University of South Carolina, which is fine with me. Wherever she wants to go is fine. But you find a lot of kids here in Horry County just their feet flatten out or something. They love the place.
I'm glad we think about that aspect of raising children. Has that impacted you in the classroom, your ability to teach young adults?
Yes, and especially as my kids have gotten older, I've been able to relate better to my students, where they are and what the pressures are in their lives, because I see my kids, going through those same things. And especially now, I'm a much better teacher and professor, but teacher and advisor to my students, having a son who has gone through those years, and knowing some of the things that have been challenges for him and distractions for him. And so I think having kids has been fulfilling. It's also had a way of complementing everything else I've done.
Is your wife in education as well?
My wife is a United Methodist minister, an ordained minister in the Methodist Church, and she's taking a little sabbatical right now. Started November 1st. She was at St. Paul's Waccamaw United Methodist Church down at Litchfield Beach, Pawleys Island area, as associate pastor, but she wanted to spend some time. It occurred to her, it has been increasingly occurring to her, that our kids are going to be off and away. Our son graduates college this year. Don't know what he'll do, but he won't be around the house as much, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. My daughter is going off to school. My wife, I think, started thinking a little bit about what it would be like to be an empty nester, and wanted to spend as much time as she could with the kids before they do get out, and maximize her time with them. She has a little writing she wants to do as well, and just take a little break from the ministry, which is a tough job. I mean, it's a 24/7 job, and she does a very good job of what she does. So she's taking a little time off now.
That's wonderful. You're able to maintain, in this position as Vice President for University Relations, you're still able to maintain an active professoriate role or a professorial role there in the classroom?
I teach one course, which is really all I have time to do, but I didn't want to come all the way out of the classroom when I went into administrative work and took the Vice President's job. I've been University Counsel for a little over 10 years now, since we've been independent from the University of South Carolina. I don't think I would like a job that would take me completely out of the classroom. I get that little punch every other day now. Used to get it every day when I taught every day, but every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday I get a little lift. So
like getting a Mountain Dew. That's right.
Yeah. So yeah.
Well, that's wonderful, Eddie. What's it like working with Dr. Ron Engel?
Ron was the right man at the right time for Coastal Carolina University. Right. He came to us in the late 80s as our Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs. When we became independent, he moved over to be president. Our former chancellor went on to be the president of Morehead State University in Kentucky. So Ron moved into the president's office. He had been affiliated with the University of South Carolina, knew the lay of the land here. He's from South Carolina, from Moncks Corner. Went to Wofford, has his PhD in psychology from Ohio State. So he knows South Carolina. He knows South Carolina higher education. He knows the General Assembly. The local people had come to respect him. So he's done a great job of getting us independent and moving us to that next level that we needed to get to.
Eddie, is there anything about the campus that you miss from 1976, any of the aspects of 1976? It's grown so much, and it's so exciting there, and so many new things happening. Being on a campus 28 years and seeing all that growth, and of course everyone has thoughts about times past. Is there anything there on the campus that you miss, or are there things now that you're bringing on board that you thought, golly, how could we have lived without that?
Things that I miss not knowing all the faculty and staff as well as I did when I was there. We had, when I came, what did we have, 75 or 80 faculty members? We have well over 200 now. I knew all of them on a first-name basis, knew their wives' names, knew their kids' names, all the staff. So I miss not knowing. We have, 500-600 employees now. I don't know all of them. So I miss that. I miss the intimacy of a smaller environment. But as I say, we were blessed with growth, and that's just one of the things that is bittersweet. You lose some of the intimacy. Things that I think dormitories. You just wonder how we did without dormitories.
Right.
Having that a part of the student body being on campus all the time. That makes you feel more like a real campus and real university, having students who are there all the time.
Right.
So that would be one of the things that I would say. I wonder how we did without that.
And Ed, even though it's gotten much larger, it's small enough that you still know a heck of a lot of people,
sure,
which is wonderful.
I mean, we're not huge. We're 6,600. But we don't want to get so big that we can't serve Horry County and our original constituency as well as we have since 1954. We're coming up on our 50th anniversary next year, so we don't want to get too big to do that. But 6,600 is not huge, but As I say, it's not the 1,700 that were there when I came.
Right.
So,
Eddie, I see that you're selected to deliver the address at Coastal for Martin Luther King Day next month. This is coming January. We've got a little less than 2 minutes. The impact on, I think I saw you had an amazing article about the 1960 perjury trial of Martin Luther King Jr. The impact of being able to remain involved in scholarly activities, remain in the classroom and teach thrice a week, and to be able to take trips to D.C. but to interrelate with the administration. All this you're able to do, and it's incredible.
It's great working in academia, and I love doing research and writing. I love to write. It was a great experience researching this paper for his perjury trial. I got to interview the attorney that represented him, who also represented Rosa Parks in the case in Alabama that started the civil rights movement, basically. Fred Gray is his name. And the Journal of African American History published that in their current issue. But I'm looking forward to giving the address, Martin Luther King Day, and we always have a good turnout for that. It's a big day on campus for our students. We take a day off from classes for that. So, yes, looking very much forward to it. Academia gives you a lot of opportunities to do a lot of different things.
Lastly, Eddie, if you weren't a professor of politics since 1976 at Coastal Carolina, what do you think you'd be doing?
Probably would have gone back to North Carolina, Charlotte or Greensboro, one of the big cities, and been a city attorney. I specialized in land use law and was the first attorney on consultant basis for the Horry County Planning Commission. So that's probably what I would have done, something in the law. I couldn't be a professional golfer, so I turned out to be a lawyer. So
a Tar Heel native that now calls the Palmetto State home. We're excited to have him here. Eddie, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Stay tuned to more Carolina People coming up next. We want to thank Eddie Dyer and Coastal Carolina University for giving him an opportunity to make an impact on students' lives and making today's Carolina People so special.